Hey everyone, today we have the Celest Plutus Beast. It's a $89 tri-bead IM from Celest. It is nice to see not a Harman tuned IM at this price point. So before I start the review, I want to say huge thanks to Ho-Kago for sending me this review unit. But all the thoughts and opinions you're about to hear are my own. So let's get started. So before talking about the sound, let's talk about the build quality, comforts and accessories. So the packaging as it is from Kinera and its sister brand is really good. It comes with the IM and a beautiful cable and a good tan colored case, cleaning brush and also the Celeste vocal tips and the Celeste balance tips. It also as usual has the lore about the name of the IM and a keychain which I personally really love. And I'm a big fan of this because with all the Celeste IMs and Kinera IMs, they try to do this, which I really like. So this is for the Plutus Beast. Now, as for the IM, they're a bit big for your ears when compared to most other IMs. They're a bit similar to the Celeste Phoenix Call in terms of size, but they're quite comfortable to wear. Although for super long wearing session, these could be a pain to use. The shells of the IM are made out of resin and is also very high quality. So also quite like the faceplate design. I would have preferred it without the name over here, but hey, that is a small complaint over here. This has a name over here. If this was without the name, I think so the faceplate would look even better. The cable, as I said, is quite supple and very nice. As usual, the Kinera cables also quite good. As for the driver configuration, it has one bone conduction driver, one BA driver and one square planar driver. So let's talk about the sound. The overall sound impression it gives me is that of a V-shaped IM, but with its own very unique taste to it. I used all the stock setups for my review, that is the stock tips and also the stock cable, with me using the balance tips for the review. There is a slight BA timbre in some places, which I hear. They're also quite easy to drive with smartphone too. For testing, I'll be using the Hibi FC6, the FIO BTR5, the i5 Hip DAC 3, the i5 Go Blue, the Colorfly CDA M1, the Colorfly CDA M2, the Muse Hi-Fi M4, Fosse Audio N3, Ion Yuki, Hibi M300, Acclaim PD4 Plus, Kinera USB-C dongle DAC, Razer USB-C dongle DAC, and also my smartphone. So let's talk about the bass. The bass here is very good. I mean, it's very thunderous. It's very impactful. When listening to Waltz by Sunny or Crack Crack Crackle by Classy, the bass of these tracks and the attack of the bass is really crisp, is really punchy. That is what I would expect from these tracks, and that is what the Plutus Beast deliver. The overall bass is a more sub-bass focus rather than the mid-bass. So there is a bit of a mid-bass bleed, which some might like or some might not like. When listening to Hollow 16-bit remix by Bjork, there is a huge rumble at around the 20-second mark. And it is generally very hard for IMs under the $100 range to do that, but the Plutus Beast does that really well, and that rumble is fantastic. If you play it at a higher volume, it literally shakes your skull, and I get that feeling when listening it with the Plutus Beast. But do remember one thing, that the IM needs to touch your ears, but that is basically the inner part over here. It needs to touch your ears, otherwise you do not get that bass feeling, because the bone conduction driver has to physically make contact with your ears. So yeah, do remember that when you're trying to test it out. As for the mids, the overall vocals are a bit recessed. When listening to male vocals like the one from Chris Cornell, Bill Withers, etc., their thick velvety voice comes across really well. It sounds really lovely, as the texture of their vocal is really good, but they are a bit recessed. Now, female vocals are quite good. They have very good forwardness, but they sound a tad bit unnatural. Now, this is to be expected, as it is quite hard to balance between a thick male vocals and a shimmery, nice female vocals. But I still thought of mentioning it. At higher volumes, the upper mids could get a bit fatiguing and could be a bit shrilly. Talking about the treble, the overall treble is very laid back. It's quite laid back, in fact. The treble after the upper mids does fall off a bit. I could describe the treble over here as dark, and is great for someone who is very treble sensitive. So there are a lot of people who do not like that Harman tuned IM and find the treble on Harman is quite sensitive. So that would be a great IM for those kind of people. If you are treble sensitive in general, you can also have a look at the Plutus Beast, because the treble over here is very nicely done. Like, it does have that amount of details, but it is not sensitive to anyone. For someone like me, it could be a bit dark in some places, especially when listening to J-pop. Technicalities. The overall technicalities here is a bit affected as they are not the best at it. If you want a highly resolving IM, then this isn't for you. But it makes a great alternative for those who are very trouble sensitive. Also, it makes a great alternative if you have a very highly resolving IM and you want something fun, bassy, then this also makes a great alternative for that. The soundstage here is average, and as it has a decent enough depth and width when it comes to that. The imaging is just serviceable and nothing great. The left to right transition is quite slow and it is not that crisp. So gaming test. Now in gaming, the gunshots or anything quite happening during a scene, the bass was really hearty. I felt that thump on my head, so that was really good. But the average soundstage and the imaging was not the best and not the most resolving when trying to understand the overall situation of the game. So yeah, if you want for something, casual gaming, obviously any IM is good for casual gaming, and Plutus Beast falls at that. So now talking about comparison and recommendations. So versus the Phoenix Call, the Phoenix Call have a better soundstage, they have a better imaging and also resolution when compared to the Plutus Beast. But what the Plutus Beast has is a much better bass quantity and quality than the Phoenix Call, although the Plutus Beast is almost $40 cheaper. Versus the Geek World GK20. The GK20 are the exact polar opposites, as they are a clean sounding V-shaped IM, while these have quite a big shelf of bass, and the overall resolution lacks when compared to the GK20. Both are priced quite similar. Now, it depends as to what you want. So, do you want something like a clean sounding V-shaped IM? Then GK20 is the way to go. Or if you want something, warm sounding thick IM, which sounds really thick, then the Plutus Beast is the way to go. Overall, I think they make a great IM if you're looking for something very dark sounding or something which isn't treble fatigue. I think so it is nice to see a change from usual Harman tuned IM. While this isn't a bassed IM, but it just skirts in the bassed territory in my opinion. So yeah, the fit could be an issue for some as they are a bit bulbous, especially if you have smaller ears. So that was my review. I hope you liked it. 94% of the people watching this video aren't subscribed, so I would really appreciate if you could subscribe and hit a like to the video. That really helps me out a lot. And yeah, that was my review. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day ahead. Bye.